Hi friends, let's tune in with Tezos. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Rocky Outcrop. This is a Tezos technical analysis video. We'll do three. We'll probably look at Tezos versus Bitcoin, Tezos versus dollar, and Tezos versus Ethereum. Now, the Tezos versus Ethereum thing is more of a philosophical, long-term view, because we all want to be the coin that we all. I also do videos on Ethereum, by the way, and I'm not particularly invested in one crypto, as a maximalist. But wouldn't it be great to see Tezos as being a real competitor to Ethereum? So that's why we have it on there for the sort of philosophical chat. And every so often I'll say things like, "Oh, it'll kill Ethereum" or whatever. Anyway, we'll start off and we'll look at it versus the Bitcoin, then we'll go on to the dollar coin, and then we'll go on to the Ether coin and see how things all pan out for the current price action and where we could be going and all the rest of it. So, like I say, I'm Rocky Outcrop. I do these videos daily. I'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe. And just before I dive into the charts, I wanted to say a big sort of shout out to TradeSpawn, who's put out a video about VeChain. Now, as people who are interested in alternative sort of currencies to the Bitcoins and the dollar coins and that of the world, you might also be interested in VeChain. You might not, right? And if you've had some in the past and traded it and wondered, what is this VTHO token in my account that I've been rewarded, or how is this any different to another coin, and what's its route to market, and how will it be achieved mass adoption, then that might really interest you. Now, for Tezos people, what's really interesting for, just in terms of the Tezos thing, also, I'll be linking to that video in the description and the cards and all that crap. Tezos, happy birthday, Tezos. I should have opened with that. Happy birthday, Tezos. 30th of June is Tezos' birthday. So happy birthday to Tezos. Tezos is going to be like growing as a coin through this idea of security token offerings. Now, Tezos itself managed to avoid being sued by the SEC as being a security, like many other tokens were, but had a sort of civil suit against it, which it settled. And since it settled that, we've had lots more good news and collaboration come out with regards to Tezos. It settled its court case back around this price action over here, probably, or something, I don't know. And then since then, it's been relatively quite good. And what we see happening with Tezos is the coin is going to start having security tokens launched on it. Now, if you remember the drama about the security tokens and certain cryptos in the world having to sort of defend themselves in lawsuits from actual, the Securities and Exchange Commission in America and things like that, all the issues that surrounded things like Binance America and different ways of trading in the United States, then you'll be aware that that Tezos actually didn't get sued by the SEC because it didn't actually operate as a security, which means in a massively over reduction way that Tezos didn't actually say to people, invest with us and we will fly that flag for you and we'll make this investment worth more money. So what the Tezos sort of the core Tezos commission group, sort of society, company, and all that, Brightman and all these people, what they actually do is they say that there's this ecosystem and it's decentralized and we're just a bit player in there. Of course, our interests are aligned with the success of Tezos, but whether it wins or fails is not going to be down to our actions. Therefore, we're not going to ourselves pay in exchange to list our token. We're not going to do certain actions which are sort of the marketing and whatnot of this token to push it and make it a success. And because of that system, they're not a security because they're not actually. That's kind of how it works. Whereas a lot of other coins, they went out there, they paid Binance and stuff to list them, etc., etc. Whereas Tezos never did. And that and combine that with its unique protocol where it's a self-amending blockchain that'll never have hard forks and whatever else. There's a lot of good stuff with Tezos. So happy birthday, Tezos. Okay, great. And let's take a look at the charts then. Okay, I suppose that's enough chit chat. The thing that's interesting about VeChain, by the way, is that by just in real brief, and the video explains it in a great detail, I would really recommend you watch it, is that it's all about the supply chain, right? So the supply chain in business, where from the grapes growing on the vines to getting smashed up by feet, I suppose, and then put into a bottle and made into wine and whatever the magic that goes on there. It's all tracked, along the way on the blockchain. And this is the sort of the implementation of the blockchain. So as Tezosians, we're not so super interested in the supply chain side of things and all this and putting all of the world onto the blockchain and necessarily in these particular ways. But we recognize that there's going to be blockchains that do that and that do it very, very well. And VeChain was one of those. So if you want to know a bit more about it, watch that video. Highly recommend it. Actually, I think that you should watch it. So anyway, let's go and take. Let's take. I'm not shilling anything, by the way. I'm just saying you should then, of course, obviously, always make up your own mind about what you think is a good or bad investment. Blah blah blah. And besides, I don't invest. I trade. That's what I do with pretty much everything. Where are we? We've come down here and we've put in what we've managed to put in this local low perhaps so far, but it's not bullishly divergent, unfortunately. Yeah, it's not bullishly divergent on any of these. But we have got a low in here, and is this going to ultimately turn out to be a a lower low as part of a downward trend that we started off since since April, coming on to where we are now, or will we see the prices turn around and go towards the top side? From this point here, what can we look to in terms of indications for us that we're on the right road? Just now, the first two is this 2,600 area here where I have this blue serrated line, then the subsequent blue serrated line on the charts here up at 2,700, let's call it, where we also have the 236 Fibonacci. Those would be the first two things. Now, doing those would still ultimately, in terms of the 24-hour time frame versus Bitcoin, end up with us not doing anything special because we wouldn't have any higher highs or anything like that on the go. Instead, what we need to see, unless of course, along the way we could set in small term, pardon me, higher highs and higher lows, but really, if you're looking towards that, you've got to look up towards the 2,900 area, let's call it, where we had this previous high over here on the 24th of June. Until such times as we're above there, we are in a downtrend. Okay, let's just face facts. Of course, you can look at things in different manners. For instance, the weekly time frame. Clear off all the junk here. You can say high, higher low, higher high, and anywhere down as far as 2,400, and that is ultimately just a higher low in terms of this time frame. But in terms of the 24-hour time frame, that's what we're looking at. In terms of the weekly as well, you can see the 21 EMA coming in there at 2,700, let's call it as well. So that if we go up above that area, spend a week above 2,700, whatever, maybe we could be looking towards this as being our local low, and we could go up towards the top side again. Though, if on this one, if we want to look at towards at the very least the previous high area, 3,000 is where we'd be looking for that to happen. I'm going to move on now, actually, because this video will be quite long if I don't. So I'll just go into the dollar prices and say that we're above the 21 EMA here on this one at 230, but it's going down below this area at 230 and spending any sort of significant period of time down there, especially a week and closing out a week down there below there, would be quite bearish. As you can see, we might spend a month asking questions about what our trend is, like we did back then in March, and then maybe go up or continue to go towards the downside. So this is what can be an area for us to look at in terms of just in terms of the trend here. Of course, there's not a huge amount of data historically on this one, but that's it's enough to be making decisions off the back of, and that's what we can look at in terms of the dynamic there. But go down towards the 24-hour time frame, put our drawings back on the chart so we can see a few things here in amongst all the mess. And this was the result of our head and shoulders that we had that brought us down as far as this. Gave a good, I'm not a financial advisor, none of this financial advice ever. Good potential area for re-entering on longs in around this 230 area, as we've spoken about in the past a few times amongst people. 230 decent enough area for re-entering, and then we've come up towards the 240s. Now we're back at 235 at the minute, so we're kind of asking questions about how we go along here. Seeing the prices come back down as far as this, we put this in as another local lower high, and we could then go on and make lower lows and whatnot. That would be quite bad. Conversely, going up above the 240 area and whatnot could see us going towards the top side. The 236 on this dollar chart here comes in at 245. Similar setup in terms of Bitcoin, but obviously the numbers are different. If we look to if we wanted to do that and we did move up towards the top side, then there's a couple of things that might be worth knowing in advance, I suppose. Like closing down here today at 235 would very much be like in terms of the bodies here, a bearishly engulfing candle. Not quite in terms of the wicks or whatever. You'd want to see that engulf it all the way down as far as the 230 area or whatever. That'd be very bad or very good if you're bearish. Fair enough. I'm open for people trading as well as being believers in particular cryptos, because that's me. But there you go. And but then if we did move up back and beyond this sort of the 240s area and come up towards the 236, then we could be looking at having a bullishly engulfing candle versus these. How do I personally feel about engulfing candles? Not that great. I don't think that really you could really say anything necessarily that amazing about them. Like this engulfing candle here did lead to another day of good price action. direction. You know, maybe you think these two together would be good, but then we had this bearish engulfing candle. Okay, that went towards the downside. Great, cool. But what that, and that's you know, a good example followed by a good example of a follow through, followed by, you know, a bearish candle with follow through. Sure, okay. But what about this bullishly engulfing candle here, which was not good? What about this bearishly engulfing candle here, you know, which was not good for trading wise? Instead, I tend not to really put too much weight on them, but it would be a part of the story, you know. So we can look at that. Let's move on then to Ethereum. You know, another reminder to folk again as well to watch that VeChain video if you want to. A lot of good information in it. I think that you'll actually be able to walk away from that having learned a lesson. And another shout out as well to the guy Dan from Chart Guys, who I think is probably a nice guy and was part of the crowd that inspired me to start doing Bitcoin daily, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Chainlink, all the rest of it, technical analysis for crypto on YouTube, because there's a whole host of people out there that do it every day, and you know, sometimes you just need to see other people doing the thing that you know that you could do too, and it gives you a bit of confidence and whatnot, and I just wanted to, it's just what I appreciate that. Obviously you could consider me to be competitors of theirs. I don't give a crap. I'm not a YouTube monogamist. I know that everybody that watches these videos watches other videos as well. I'm not some sort of precious little virginal YouTube person that needs to have everything be all perfect and just all for me. That's crazy. Instead, I actually want to honor the work that other people do out there in the industry and say that, hey, there's lots of good people out there, and whether or not their analysis is good, the humans that do this stuff, you know, the human beings, there's a lot of good humans out there. Right, so looking at this is the weekly on the Ethereum prices, and we really don't want to see this dropping back down below this. Like we were talking about, you know, higher lows, whatever, but we don't want to see this going back down. Oh, this is the daily, sorry, but we're the weekly. Come over to the weekly. Sorry, yeah. We want to see this try and find some sort of feet in around this area. But if it doesn't, what scale does it have to go down to in order to put in a sort of a low? Now, you could say this was a low here and that this is a lower low than this one, yada, yada. But really, overall, this would be your previous local low. And this isn't a previous local high, and this isn't a previous local low. This is it over here on the 20th of April. So anything all the way down as far as 0.0085 Ethereum centis is what we'd be looking at here for this thing, if in terms of putting in a higher low. But we really would prefer to see it not stretch too far down the way in terms of the structure of this thing overall. There's a couple of things that we can do to sort of look at this in a bit more detail, and we'll just do this as well in the weekly time frame, taking this from the lows. We'll go from the all-time lows, which is just over here, going on the wick, and we'll drag it up to the all-time highs up there, and we can fuck it, let's spread this out a bit more so that we've got it across the whole price action so we can see the numbers a bit easier and whatnot. Excuse my language, by the way. The 236 on this in here comes in at this area. We've gone past the 236, but going down further down, and this is kind of why I'm getting at that, you would be going down past the 382. Now, the 236 is the shallowest retrace that you would hope for, or, you know, whatever, for it to sort of constitute a retrace, really. And then the 382 is the second one. The 382, I always have them marked in green here, because that's obviously the area, the green one, and the 618 is green. So just to make it quite clear that there's those two areas for the most common sort of retrace areas, and of course the 50% in the middle of that. So all the way down there towards the 50%, if you were to see the prices go down to that 0085 thing, could be where you get this higher low at. If we come in for a golden pocket retrace here, then things could be quite bad really in general. Although, of course, that's where the prices could turn around from on the weekly time frame. You'd be very much putting in a lower low at that point compared to this one over here. So just in general, that's the bigger picture. You know, what we want to see happen with this and whatever. But what's going to determine this price is not the actual Ethereum versus Tezos pairings. It's going to be things like the value of Ethereum itself, the value of Tezos versus dollars, the value of Ethereum versus dollars, and the value of both of those pairs versus Bitcoin. In essence, that is the value of Bitcoin versus dollars as well. That's basically how this triumvirate really works. It boils back down to the dollar pairing on Bitcoin anyway. So, yep. Great, thanks. Good video today, I think. I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below. I hope you enjoyed it. Few things then. I do these videos every day, so I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed and came back again for more. That VeChain video, like I've been battering on about by TradeSpawn's, well worth a watch. Good one. I'd recommend it. And third thing is stay safe out there. You know, have a great day, have a great life, have a great everything. Be safe, be happy, and take care of each other. Okay, thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I'll catch you in the next episode.